So, Jon, thank you for joining us for this chat today. Jon from Jameson Legal is going to talk to us about how to run successful pilots and engage with potential customers. Jon.
Hi, it's great to be here. Really enjoying seeing you again, and looking forward to today.
What's been going on with you?
Look, we've been super busy actually since we last met. Actually, in Miami, not dropping names or anything. But
Well, it's the only holiday I've taken in like 3 years. Holiday inverted commas. So like Miami is going to be referenced a lot in this conversation.
yeah, look, it really gave us great food for thought on what we're doing, which, we're always looking for innovative legal tech solutions. We've now, over 2 and a bit years, built up a really amazing network of law firms, in-house teams around the world, heavily based anywhere except for the US, although we are working with US firms, but mostly UK, Europe, into the Middle East, Southeast Asia, into Australia. And actually what we've realized is that not only are we quite good at introducing tech to these people, but becoming a place where innovation teams, or in smaller law firms, IT people, and in even smaller firms, partners of law firms, trying to get them to adopt tech in a really easy way. Because the more that we go on this journey, and as I say, we're only 3 years into a journey, 2 years properly, the more that we go into this journey, the more that we're realizing that the amount of people who have bought tech that doesn't work and they still keep it there, and they're utterly frustrated by it. And that's the same with big and medium-sized law firms, that they've got ongoing agreements with tech that lawyers just aren't working with because it's not intuitive, it doesn't work well. So we're now working with a collection of legal tech, our consortium, and we're doing really well in terms of getting through to proof of concept, from proof of concepts through to proposal, and then to deployment. And that's where it becomes properly exciting.
As you're talking, there's this really hard tension, right, where law firms are slow machines. The procurement cycle, it's not strange to find a procurement cycle to last 2 or 2.5 years. And you're nodding and smiling. And yet at the end of these procurement cycles, still sometimes they end up with these tools that lawyers go, yeah, but it doesn't work. Or yeah, but it's not what I need. And so my question to you is, what is going on there, and why can't law firms get that decision right in 2.5 years of, well, trying it out?
Yeah, look, I think that the biggest issue that we find is, even if you have a champion within a law firm, so you may be working with someone that works in real estate, their pushes and pulls are so different to a corporate partner or to a litigation associate or whatever. And where it often goes wrong is that you work so hard with the real estate team that the way that it gets deployed, or the way that it's kind of gone through those channels over 2 years, has always been down this one channel. And it's very difficult to then say, right, everybody, we found something amazing, we're all going to use it. Lawyers, by their very nature, are risk averse, should we put it? They spend their lives dealing with other people's risks. That's what they do. We're the safe pair of hands, and we're dealing with other people's risks. However, what that leads to in terms of decision making is that they become so risk averse to make decisions for themselves. And that's why the process goes on and on and on and on and on. And 2 years, you're exactly right. I'm laughing because we just had a deployment of a piece of technology, and we literally started speaking to them nearly 2 years ago. I mean, just crazy. a crazy amount of time. But it never stopped, by the way. It wasn't, oh, look, we're not interested. It was just, we were really busy. We'll come back to this you've got to give me 3 months. You've got to give me 6 months. We'll be back to this, but I've got to deal with something else.
Right.
So
right. There's a trash fire burning over here. We're gonna have to put that out first, and then we'll come back to the picnic.
Yeah, completely. And that's, you've got to stay relevant. And again, I think that's where we had this kind of difference between us and, say, when a solution is going direct to a law firm, we have this different layer where we can talk about life in general and what's going on and why is this taking so long. Whereas a solution provider talking directly to the law firm, they're literally talking about price and can we get on with it. Whereas we have this kind of privileged client on both sides. You know, the law firm is my client, but also the solution provider is my client as well. And I can have open conversations with both. You know, seriously, what's going on? What? Oh, yeah, look, Steve has decided we've got to do X, Y, and Z. So that's what we're doing. And you wouldn't necessarily say that to the solution directly. You'd just say, there's a pause and we'll come back. Just call me in 3 months. And then the solution provider then says, well, I'll reduce the cost if you do it next week. And that falls flat on so many lawyers. You know, it's like, it's not the money is the problem. It's something else. But I can't tell you what that something else is. But we can get that information.
You know, it's so interesting, right? Because I was on a call earlier today and it was with a VC, and I was saying to them how, because Cynthia doesn't really have a proper sales force, we don't really have a team of salespeople going out there chasing customers and opportunities. I am the one that have to forge these relationships with law firms, and I take a very consultative approach to selling, which is, do you need us? Are we going to help you? And if so, let's keep talking. If not, we're here. Call us when you need us. Come back whenever. By the way, my wife hates that. She's like, push a little bit more. But I just find, like, for me, pushy sales guys are really bad. But I was saying to the VC, because I'm the CEO, there is a natural limitation on how many times I can chase. You can't have the CEO send out 15 emails every single week and go, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because doesn't the CEO have other things to do? And the answer is, yes, he does. And I don't want to send any chasing emails for a number of reasons. But the sales guy can do that. But you're taking it to the next level and saying, no, beyond just even the salespeople, you're not chasing, not in that sort of like aggressive way that the salespeople do. You're chasing in a much more consultative way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
look, you've got it in one, and you're exactly right. Perception is everything. But it doesn't matter, I don't think, if it's the CEO or the sales associate. That sending that email over and over again is a pain in the backside for whoever
for
sends
everyone, for the recipient and the sender.
Oh yeah, of course. It's demoralizing, and we've often said to people, at certain circumstances, it's better if they just say, look, it's not for us. Call us back in a year. Maybe we're in a better position then, because at least you get closure. And what you get naturally as salespeople, and you know, sales is my background. So I'd like to think that we taught all of our solution providers. We teach them quite a bit about what we've learned in our sales journey on this. But the most important thing is you can't be aggressive in any way. And that's the part that we kind of play, which is we're the non-aggressive, aggressive people. So of course we're going to be chasing on your behalf, but we're going to be doing it in a completely different way, because we have this privileged relationship with these people where we can talk about, you know, the weather and stuff, and they are our clients, you know.
You're serving both sides. You're looking after the best interests of both sides.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting. Look, I'm dying to know how you're getting on without having that sales force, in terms of how are you keeping all your balls juggling, you know, basically.
Well, let's talk about juggling boars, and let's talk about how these boars are very resilient and don't seem to crack very easy when they're dropped. Um, the answer is like it's really tough to juggle that many balls, and it's about prioritization for me. So I know the kind of old sales mantras, right? 7 points of contact, how regularly you have to follow up, and all of that stuff, because we do have a sales consultant. Um, but I don't do it. I have not followed up on a single lead in however many months. Now I know,
On. That's crazy.
I
Me,
know, I know.
luckily they're here for you. Luckily, Jameson Legal Tech's here for you.
Haha.
Uh,
Yeah, look,
yeah, you need to follow up because the other thing that we found is that busy lawyer or busy innovation or busy
they're
IT.
not thinking about us.
No, that's the thing. And
Yeah,
you do have to, at some stage, become front and center.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's the hardest bit, but that's where someone like Jameson Legal Tech, that's what we do. So
Right.
with many of our clients, by the way, many of our solutions, they'll pass us, look, we're stuck here. Can you help us? And we're like,
Right.
uh, 5 times out of 10, 50% of the time, we can jump in there and say, oh God, yeah, we know someone there. That's great. No problem.
Yeah, yeah,
I give them a call. It doesn't always work. Or
yeah,
it could be, look, I gave a demo to this lot. I haven't chased them for 6 months. Can you give them a call and just see where it's up to? And we can do that as well.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's moving everything along that sales pipeline and the funnel, and then adding it at the top at the same time
Right.
with stuff that we will then continually sort of chase. You know, our preferred option, our preferred way of working is all of these solutions look great on a PowerPoint and then a demo, but they look much better when they're being deployed even as a proof of concept with 5 or 6 or 10 lawyers, especially if it's
Hmm.
a solution like Cynthia. It needs to be touched and felt. And then, you know, what we always say to our law firms or the in-house teams is try and break it, you know, try and do something
Yes,
that
yes.
is like really tough. Don't do the easy things because I promise you it's going to do the easy things really well. Do the thing that's really tough. It's really difficult. It's a 400-page document you need it to look at. Play with it with that. Don't play with it with the 2-page document because you know
Right.
that's where you find it easy anyway. And you don't really need technology to help you, but
You
play with
don't
break it.
don't throw an NDA at this, right? Because every software out there can deal with an NDA. Throw a
Yeah.
500-page credit agreement with 15 schedules at the back,
Yeah, here we go.
then see if it performs.
Exactly. And that's where POCs, funny enough, I was talking about it only just before this call, which is what I
Mm,
was actually late for the call.
mm.
And the reason was that we were talking about where POCs fail is where you don't set them up properly at the beginning.
Yes.
Exactly what you're saying there, which is, right, let's get this at the beginning. What is it? What do you want to do with this? How many lawyers, how many people are going to be looking at? Who's going to be playing? What do you want to do? You know, so if you say, I'm going to look at 10,000
Output.
documents,
Yeah.
that's important because then that means that we can't just have it on one tiny server. We'd need to open it up into something a bit different,
It's scalable. Yeah.
but then the most important part, which is what does success look like
Mhm.
after I've done this? So if it's a 2-month trial, a 2-month POC, what does success look like? What does success look like after week 1, after month 1, after 6 weeks, and then after at the end? And therefore, if it ticks all the boxes, what do we do then? And that's a good POC, you know?
Right. But you've just said something which is so much harder to do in practice than it is on paper, and that is getting the users or the end customer to tell you what are the success criteria. Because usually the answer we get is, oh, if it works.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, but what does that mean? What is working for your use case?
You're so right. You know, it's got to work. And it's like, but then you have to drill it down. And that's where it becomes important. By that stage, you've kind of gone through some security. You've gone through, so you should have a good enough relationship with your your partner, your
champion,
whatever you want at this stage, you know, your prospect. That conversation is slowly, it's not all at once that you have to do that. So when they say, yeah, it's got to work, I'll be thinking, right, the next time that we speak, which is about implementation, right, what does it's got to work mean for you? And then you start to then eke it out. It doesn't always have to come from one conversation. Actually, when you agree a POC, there's a ton of work that needs to happen before that POC goes live. So you all have time. It doesn't have to be, right, let's sit down now and let's work out what the success criteria are. Know that this is a pattern, this is a picture, because then you become a pain in the arse as well. You don't want to be that painful solution.
Yep.
You want to be the one that is like, yeah, it's got to work, great, okay. And remember, mental note, okay, what does work mean? And then the next time you speak, which may be about InfoSec, it may be about which lawyers are going to take it, it may be about general implementation and who's going to do the training and what we, but at that stage, we're then going to ask a couple of the same questions in order to get to this point where, look, they need to know as well what success looks like, not just it works. That, you know, the law firm needs to know what does success look like, and we're going to map it out for them.
So I think this is a really, really interesting point, and it goes into inside of the law firm, there are different personas. The end users, lawyers, are not necessarily the ones who we, the vendors, are dealing with. We might be talking to the innovation team or the knowledge team or one of the other teams, and they may not know what the end users are going to define as success or not success. And a lot of our job is to help them and go, right, well, here's some examples, and here's what we can do together.
Yeah, that, you know, in the ideal scenario, you're going to set the success criteria. In the real world, however, they are going to say, right, well, it's got to be that Billy from real estate has to think that it's better than what he's currently doing, or that it works on something that we've never been able to do. Getting that information is the hardest bit, but once you get that information, you're exactly right. And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, which is that someone in innovation or knowledge management will have a different view of success. And exactly what I'm just, you know, totally agreeing with you that everybody's got to be part of that process to say, yeah, it's fantastic. And that could be a parallel, you know, we found some of our best people on POCs, best lawyers have been junior staff or paralegals who are in and amongst the weeds and really kind of doing the day-to-day chores. And they're the people that give real time, not the senior partner, because it's off playing golf and having lunch and doing great things, but it's the people who are really doing the work, and that's they'll be able to help with setting that success criteria.
This is fantastic.
You know, meet them the whole way through. That's the other thing. You've got to meet them every week. Sometimes it might be a 2-minute meeting. Everything okay? Yeah, absolutely fine. Look, we're too busy. We're loving it. It's great. It's going really well. Sometimes that might be a 20-minute meeting. Oh, you know what? We had Sarah had a real issue with X, Y, and Z. No problem. Okay, well, let me speak to Sarah. Sarah, you're on the call. Yeah, what were you having a problem with? Okay, well, let me show you how to do that, because that's you're looking at it in a different way. Sometimes it goes in your favor and sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will be a bug that they found that you then say, well, look, hands up, we're going to have to fix that because it shouldn't come out like that. And there's nothing wrong with that because they're used to that. It's not always going to be 100% every time, but as long as you hold your hands up and say, yeah, look, we'll fix that. It will take us, you know, a few days, a week, a month, whatever. We'll fix it. But it's getting that user group to interact and to give you feedback constantly through that test, trial, proof of concept, whatever you want to call it.
I think this is amazing. And Jon, that was amazing advice that you gave. Thank you very much for sharing that with the audience and sharing that with me, because I'm going to be going away and using some of the tools and tips that you've just given me.
Please do. And if you put the check in the post, send it to London. I'm more than happy. I receive any type of gift, whatever it may be. So
addressed to you personally or addressed to Jamison Legal?
Otherwise, my wife will take it, and that will be, that's not very no problem at all.